Hello everyone. This is a completely different kind of content to what I usually make. So as you can maybe tell by the title, I am currently on a path that could significantly change the entire trajectory of my entire brand. You know, it will completely elevate my skills within music production, sound engineering, music business, all else in between, and it will just completely change my entire trajectory. I'm applying to study music production and sound engineering at the Abbey Institute in Amsterdam. So I already submitted my application and I had an interview, and they said that they liked my application. The songs that I submitted were essentially kind of like practice projects within Logic. So they weren't actually necessarily songs, they were more just kind of projects that I'd worked on and semi-produced as well. But they weren't proper songs that I'd written. So they've saved me a place on the grounds that I create a new song and submit it to them, and then they are happy with it. So I thought this song is gonna be the sort of deciding factor of whether or not I move to Amsterdam sooner or later. Basically, the music project of Hendrick, aka my metal band, The Wide Eyes, I was planning on launching that when I go over there, but I figured why don't I just work with that project to create this song. So while this is actually the first song that I've ever actually genuinely kind of written and taken seriously, it's also the first piece of music for Hendrick's music project, The Wide Eyes. And in turn, I've teamed up with the bass player of The Wide Eyes, Carl. There's only two of us right now, I can't lie. So he's kind of written a lot of the bass lines and the melodies, and I've done the production, and I'm going to be doing the guitars as well. I've programmed the drums, and I'm also going to be doing vocals, which honestly I'm shitting myself about because I've been doing lessons for about 6 months, but I've never really recorded myself. I've never done it properly in front of someone, and I'll be recording it in my client / good friend studio. I haven't actually asked him yet, but I'm sure it'll be fine. In this video, I'm basically gonna kind of run you through how I've written the song, how I created the template for the song, where the song is at now, the variations that it's had, and then also the equipment that I've used. I think this will probably be like a 5 or 6 part series because I've only been working on it for about a week and a half. I've written out all of the lyrics. The song itself is called War of the Gods, and it's just written about the state of the world right now. You know, the world is a beautiful place, but we're just fed constant bad energy regarding war, everything else in between. So I feel like it's a very fitting song, especially with Glastonbury literally just being this weekend. I'm not going to go into that, but you guys probably obviously saw what happened there. I think it's a very fitting song for the state of the world. Let's get into this. To start with, I'm going to show you what gear I'm using. So all of the guitar parts on this song are played with this bad boy. It is Fender Jazzmaster, essentially Jim Root, the guitarist from Slipknot. It's his signature guitar, and I've changed the pickups for bare knuckle war pigs if you're interested, and it is currently tuned to G octave tuning, which is basically drop G but you miss out the second string. So the tuning is G, G, C, F, A, D. You can also look at it as being drop C or D standard, but with the bottom string tuned down to G, and it sounds a bit like this. So yeah, it sounds absolutely how I would want a guitar tone to sound. So basically, the amps that I'm using are my Orange Dual Dark. Sorry to nerd out for anyone that don't give a fuck. This amp is one of 150 made in the world. Orange's version of a metal amp, essentially, and that is in stereo with my Marshall channel OD1 on the JVM, and channel A on the dual dark. I've captured these onto the quad cortex. They're in stereo for anyone that cares. The speakers that I'm using are a XY pattern mixture of Eminence DV77 and something Demon, Hesu Demon. So yeah, they're the speakers I'm using. Gear wise, I've got this Yaletex MIDI controller which I use as a mixer, and honestly it's been an absolute game changer because a lot of what I do involves virtual instruments. This fader box allows me to control all sorts of parameters, dynamics, that sort of stuff, and then I also use it as a mixer. I think it was handmade, custom made in Argentina or something, but yeah, they're a really cool company and I highly recommend. I'm also using a Kai MIDI keyboard, RME Fireface interface. I've got Adam audio monitors. That's pretty much the setup that I'm using. That's the guitar tone I'm going for. That guitar means the absolute world to me. I've had it for probably about 4 years now, and yeah, it's got a lot of sentimental value to me, and it sounds the most brutal. It's tuned the lowest, so I just figured it would be rude not to use it. So yeah, that's basically the introduction to the song. Now I'm gonna hop into Logic and basically give you a breakdown of everything actually inside of the song and where it's at now. I'll see you in a second. So let's dive straight into the Logic project. So this is how I've categorized all of the instruments. At the moment there are 95 tracks. A lot of these are unused, but I reckon when the project's finished it'll probably be at least 50 tracks, 60 maybe. So obviously I've got vocals, guitars, drums, bass, lead synth, brass, strings, mid synth, vocalized, pads and percussion, and Driving the Pulse is just my test track for some songs. The way I've got it routed is essentially for a lot of these instruments I'm using Contact, and I'm using Contact in multi-timbral mode. So with the strings, for example, I've got multiple instances of strings layered up. So how it works is you only use one instance of Contact, but you relay it to multiple channels, so it in theory stops your computer from crashing. It doesn't stop mine from crashing because it still destroys it. In terms of drums, I'm using Josh Middleton, frontman of Silosis. He also is a YouTuber kind of, and he was in the band Architects. He's got a drum plugin called Ultimate Heavy Drums. That's basically what I've used to map out all of the drums, essentially. Most of these are just MIDI instruments, all of these are MIDI instruments, and then obviously I'll play the guitars in over the top, and then I'll also put vocals in. So the way this song actually started was Carl, bassist from the Wide Eyes, sent me some bass parts, and I basically kind of chopped them up and made them into this song structure. So I'll play you just the bass here. And from there I basically programmed in the drums and also this lead synth, which is Serum, I believe, and I've layered like 5 different Serum patches into the synth, so I will show you what it sounds like all together. So this was the first bare bones bass of the song that I had put together. Obviously I've grown on it now, but this is how it sounded sort of this time last week. That's essentially where it was, and that's kind of the first roadblock I hit, and then it kind of has this cool electronic hardcore aspect to it, but I wanted to bring in more orchestral things, so I completely changed the vibe of the song, just adding in strings and brass, and then I've also strands. I don't know, you might have heard of it. So I've also added in this, which I intend to play throughout the song, but I've only just put it in the intro for now. It's got this wavy aspect, and then I've also introduced vocalize, so you can hear that now. Just vibey, atmospheric sort of effects that I wanted to add in. Now I've kind of shown you the different layers of the songs, I'll also show you what I did with the strings. So I took the exact same rhythm from the bass and from the synth that I showed you and added it into strings. So you've got short brass stabs, and then you've also got short strings. I've gone for really stabby notes because I find that paired with the synth that I showed you a minute ago, they work really, really nicely together. So yeah, let me just demonstrate what the strings sound like, and then I'll bring in the other instruments. Notice how you can hear that the synth almost kind of carries the stabbier notes into one another. It stops them from being very short and tight and almost robotic, and it kind of enables them to flow into one another, and I really like that personally. But the thing that I found is if you turn this synth up too much in volume, then it completely drowns out everything else. So when it comes to mixing it, obviously that will just be a completely different topic. I'm pretty happy with where it's at so far, and I'll just show you the song all the way through. So as I showed you a minute ago, I've added in vocalize, which is pretty fucking cool. But one thing I do want to get better at is the transitions between the sections, but I'll kind of show you that as I go through. So yeah, let's give it a listen. So I have this part, like the atmosphere of the song, really building up and getting ready for the huge drop. Basically the whole thing loops and then it comes into this bridge here. The idea behind this bridge section is that it kind of just completely takes away the energy of the song and goes all like ambient and atmospheric, but then I want to slowly build it up and make it more and more intense into like a quote-unquote drop. So that's kind of going to be my focus tomorrow in the studio. Is going to be, especially this section here, is going to be the rise up into the huge climax of the song, because the end part of the song I want it to be a huge wall of sound, a huge like explosion of just audio, sonic goodness basically. Here is how I want to build it up and up and up and up and up, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. And make it less jumpy. heavy drums as well. Just keeping it fast and heavy. So yeah, that is War of the Gods so far, and I'm fucking over the moon with it so far, honestly, because like I said before, I've literally never written a song like this before. So it's coming from the projects that I submitted in my original application, which I'll probably do like a side-by-side comparison maybe after this is all finished. It's already a huge step up in the production, and I'm just so unbelievably gassed about it. So in the coming videos, I think what I will do in the next video is tomorrow I'm going down to the studio where I'll be really working on the transitions and sort of the atmosphere of the song, but mainly the transitions between the intro and the bridge and all of that sort of stuff. And I've also got my guitar lessons, so I will show the riffs that I've got in mind to my guitar teacher and just kind of work with him on improving them, and then also come up with a solo, which again, completely pushing myself out of my comfort zone. The same with the vocals. I've literally never done vocals on anything like this, so doing this and a guitar solo, two things that, you know, I've never done before. Huge comfort zone push, but that's where progress is made. So yeah, tomorrow gonna kind of get the guitars written out and work on the transitions, and then over the weekend I'll get the guitars recorded and I'll also document that as well. And then it's going to be the big job of doing the vocals next week, which I'm crapping my pants for, but I think it'll be alright. I can kind of do vocals. Kind of. And yeah, that's going to be the big step, and then the next step on from that will be getting everything to sound good, mixing it essentially. I'll do a complete mix breakdown. So yeah, I think I'll wrap that up here. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you'd add to it. Tell me what you like about the song. Tell me what you don't like about the song. I'd love to just hear it, because I really want to make this as good as humanly possible, because like I said, this one song has the potential to completely just transform my life. So yeah, my name's Gwethan, I'm the founder of Hendrick. I hope you really like this new era of content, and there's actually music on my channel for once. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, look after yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.